Yo, happy Sunday morning, everybody. Happy Super Bowl Sunday morning,
that's right. That's
everybody.
today.
Yes.
Well, I'll be off Twitter for the rest of the day.
Big football guy over here, Drew. Big football guy over here. So,
Oh, yeah.
even though
Absolutely.
I don't like either of these teams that are in it, big football guy.
Big
I will
Travis
be watching.
Kelce guy.
Here's the thing, right? Okay, we'll dive
Listen,
into this.
I'm not actually a big Travis.
No, it's all right. It's all right. We got Bebe in the chat popping in. Good to see you, Bebe.
I'm just
Sunday
jealous
morning.
of Taylor Swift.
It's fair. Anyway. Fair. Here's the thing, right? So I have a few people that are what they call Swifties in my life. My sister, big time Swiftie. My lady, big time Swiftie. Okay. My sister has always kind of watched football. Lady, not so much into it, but this has obviously brought a lot of non-football people's eyes to the sport this year. I have no problem with it at all. Do I think the NFL knows what they're doing? And I have no problem with it whatsoever. I'm tired of hearing grown men bitch and moan about them showing us a world. Like, we're talking maybe the biggest celebrity on the friggin' planet, Drew. That's what we're talking about here. She generated like $5 billion like, she's insane, right? Her music, not for me, not my style, not for me. But people that are bitching and moaning, like I saw somebody say, and we can't swear for the first Drew F-bombs the first 10 minutes, so I'm gonna be cool. But like, I don't know, I'm just getting sick and tired. Like, she's on the game. Like, I think this guy Colin Cowherd, who's a sports national guy, I like him. He did like a 3 or 4 minute diatribe on it like last week or so. They showed her for like the last game, they showed her for a total of like 25 seconds. Out of a 3.5 hour broadcast, they showed her for 25 seconds. And you see all these people getting so butthurt about, oh man, they show her too, man. Shut up. But anyway, I digress.
Yeah, because I actually saw that video too, because I remembered that he was saying, they show fans cheering, they show a whole bunch of other things. That's
when
not
the Toronto. He mentioned when the Toronto Raptors won the championship 4 or 5 years ago with Kawhi, Drake was at every game. They showed Drake a dozen times a game. Nobody was complaining that they were showing Drake too much. The Lakers games, and I'm a Celtics guy. I don't like the Lakers, but Jack Nicholson used to always sit, courtside at the Lakers games, and that was the coolest thing alive. Oh, Jack Nicholson's here. Oh my God, that's amazing. Oh, Leo, Denzel, Spike Lee at Knicks games. They show celebrities at Yankees game, all sorts of stuff. Yeah. Nobody has a problem. But just because let's be real, it's a woman. Just because it's a powerful woman, everyone's like, God, they ruining football. No, she's not. I've been watching football for 30 years. Hasn't changed a thing. They just show her instead of showing some schmuck like me in the stands. They show someone that people know. What are we talking about?
An even bigger thing that Colin could have pointed out too is, what is the Super Bowl about? It's not even about the football.
Yeah. 1 billion people.
It's about
1 billion
people. Show.
Yes. Especially today. Yes, the Super Bowl is about that. More people tune in to watch the halftime show and watch the commercials than they do the actual games, the actual game that's happening.
Yeah. So, I don't watch the Super Bowl for the Super Bowl part of the Super Bowl. So it's the football part. Nah, that's not for me. Yeah. And today's halftime show,
Usher,
is going to be Usher, which is incredible. I might actually watch that. Today's halftime show,
go ahead, yes,
is going to be longer than the entire year's worth of Taylor Swift shown on TV during
Oh,
football games.
100%. 100%. Post Malone singing "God Bless America" tonight as well.
Oh, is she?
I'm intrigued by that. Post Malone, I know he's super popular, but for me, I don't listen to pop music or like that type of music that much. But he is a guilty pleasure of mine. I like that guy. He seems like he's very cool. And I think Reba McEntire doing the national anthem. I think Reba's doing the national anthem. Post Malone's doing "God Bless America," and Usher's doing the halftime show.
And the only one that's going to get criticism is Reba.
Yeah, probably.
Because they're disgusting people out there.
All right, Drew. Now that we got our Super Bowl, so are you? I take it. Are you picking the Chiefs then, just for the Travis Kelce?
I'm not picking anybody.
I don't
care who wins.
Fair. My allegiances are with the Chiefs. I'm going with the Chiefs tonight. I want the Chiefs to win, not because of Taylor Swift or Travis Kelce. I actually dislike Travis Kelce. Don't tell anybody. And it's not because of the Taylor Swift thing. I've always disliked Travis Kelce. His brother, the better of the Kelce bros. Let me just say. But anyway, I digress. We're here to talk some AEW. That's why we're here. You know the drill. Bebe saying we just need someone to get Taylor into AEW. Better yet, an AEW wrestler needs to date her. Ratings skyrocket. Probably.
Who would date?
I don't know.
Taylor Swift on the AEW roster?
I don't like him as a football player. He's great, but I don't like him. But like Travis Kelce he's a good looking gentleman. And he's 6'7", 240 of pure muscle. Like, I don't know how many people in AEW. I don't know how many people in AEW are going to be able to compete with that. There's a few, but I don't know.
Jay White.
Could be. There are rumors going around that Travis Kelce might, if they win, might pop the question. Like he might pop the question tonight. Like,
oh boy, what a moment that's going to be in football history.
Well, if that happens, Josh, I think the NFL world might burn. I think there are too many fragile, lonely men that watch football that might burn. That the world might burn down. I'm just throwing it out there, but who knows? But anyway, no, he's not. MJF is not single. He is with, I believe they had announced he is with Alicia Toot, correct? Yes, they are an item.
Yes.
But all right, let's dive into this.
I don't know if Jay White's single, but
yeah, I don't really pay attention much. I think in celebrities in general, but even with like, I don't pay attention to much about what these people do outside of the thing that I enjoy them doing. That's kind of how, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I know some people that are like, oh, well, that this person did this and this, that. And I'm like, I didn't know that. I only like them when they act in the movies that I watch. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care who they're dating, who they're doing, I don't care. I don't care.
Me neither.
That has nothing to do with me. But people are into that stuff. A lot of people are into that stuff. But you know what I kind of wasn't into, Drew, this week?
What?
AEW.
Really?
I mean, the shows were fine. Some moments happened that I really liked a lot, but I thought Collision last night was very mid. It was very mid. Me, personally. It was, again, matches were good. Yeah. I just think, I don't know. I thought Dynamite was the better show of the two this week. Whereas I feel like over the last majority of time, Collision has always been kind of the show I enjoyed more. I thought Dynamite was better this week, but I thought...
I was actually going to suggest that we start with Collision this week.
Do you want to start with Collision? We can.
Yeah.
Oh, Bebe saying Collision was more than mid. Uh-oh. Now, do you say more than mid as in like better than mid, or more than mid as like you didn't like it, Bebe? Let me know. Because it could be more than mid as in you thought it was good.
We should make a mid scale of like, we should. And
upper
throw
mid,
it up
mid,
like it's a graphic
lower mid.
and show what level of mid we thought the show was.
We don't rate the shows. Like after we review them, we don't say, 3 blah blah blah, whatever. But yeah. All right, you want to start with Collision to kind of get it out of the way, because I do feel like more happened on Dynamite.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll start with Collision. Collision happened.
Even though ironically I have more notes on Collision than I do on Dynamite, but
yeah, Roundtable. Right. I'm pretty sure this is our boy Bad Blood here, but Rampage was good. I watched Rampage this week, and I did think that Rampage was better than Collision. I did.
You know what? I feel bad that we don't cover Rampage on the show usually, and that's really because most of the time one of us or both of us are not watching.
Matt Sydal fought one of the CMLL guys on it was Mystico. That was a banger. Oh, it's Sinner.
I need
All
to
right.
watch
This
it.
is Sinner popping in under the round table.
Oh,
So
hi,
thanks for
Sinner.
popping in.
I'm gonna be doing a new show with Sinner soon.
Hell yeah.
Check that Twitter account right there.
Hell yeah.
And
that's exciting.
We'll talk about that soon.
Willow Nightingale and Statlander fought Ruby Soho and Soraya. That match was pretty good. Mystico and Matt Sydal was very good. And we're going to talk about it, but I think the CMLL thing that they've been doing here with these guys, having them, it has been working for me, Drew.
Oh, I agree.
I know what CMLL is, but I have no idea who any of these friggin' people are.
Me neither.
And they've been showing them and having these matches with Blackpool and like big time matches these last few weeks, and it has done wonders because these guys are amazing.
Yeah,
these guys are amazing. So that has been something that's been really good. But all right, let's dive into Collision. All righty. So show starts with Speak of the Devil. We have ourselves a tag team match, and it is Jon Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli going against Star Jr. and I have to make sure Esfinge.
I'm trying to remember how Iridian said it last night.
Oh, the wordsmith. There you go. Sinner even saying that Sydal and Mystico was his match, may have been the match of the week. It was amazing. It was very good.
Definitely.
We got the wordsmith popping in, my good friend, Pluggo's best friend, saying, well, I miss you, buddy. I know we chat on the socials, but I miss you, buddy.
I believe
I'm just going to call it
Esfinge.
I believe so. Okay, that's what we're going to call it. Esfinge and Star Jr. Again, like we just talked about, I thought this was a solid tag match.
Yeah.
I expected Blackpool Combat Club to win, which they did. But both Star Jr. and Esfinge got moments. They hit some stellar moves. There were dives. It was a brawl at one point, and then it was high flying at another. Again, I thought the incorporation of these CMLL guys has at least for me personally has done wonders, and I've really, really enjoyed what they've done with them.
Yes, I agree. I mentioned last week that I really like this Forbidden Door aspect of guys from other companies being able to just come in wherever and attack people, and then that person goes to the other company and attack. I don't know the CMLL people either, like you.
Me neither.
But I really enjoy this dynamic because I think that these wrestlers from CMLL work really well with the Blackpool Combat Club and with Matt Sydal. And I think that flippy flying stuff works really well with the ground and pound of the Blackpool.
It does. It's a good dynamic. It's a good dynamic because you got the ground and pound guys trying to catch these fast high flyers to beat them down. And the only way the fast high flyers can really get a victory is by not getting caught.
Right.
It's just a really good dynamic. After the match, Moxley cuts a promo and he demands that any team in the back, if you want to step up, you're going to get stepped on because the Blackpool Combat Club doesn't mess around. And then all of a sudden we hear FTR's music.
Yeah, this was a surprise.
It was, and it was a good surprise. FTR comes down. They get face to face with Claudio, and Sinner mentioned it. Claudio, his chest was kind of busted open from the chops they were doing. He got a black eye on Wednesday. These CMLL guys have been beating him up a little bit.
That's the true BCC style.
It is. I think it adds to it, to be honest with you. But yeah, FTR comes down. They go face to face, and then a brawl ensues. Multiple security guards, wrestlers are coming out to break it up. But that's how this segment ends. So it looks like we are going FTR versus BCC coming up here. That seems to be where they're heading, and I, for one, am not upset about that, Drew.
No, I'm not either. I don't hate that. In fact, you'd think that, in a sense, Dax and Cash are BCC-esque in their wrestling.
Yep.
So I think this will be a really fun feud.
I agree. If you're here in the chat, give a thumbs up. Hit that bell for notifications. But give a thumbs up. That gives us, our goal for the day would be 20, if that would be ideal. So go tell your friends. I know it's early, but go tell your friends. We're already at 7. If we can at least get to 10, but I would love to get to 15 or 20. So go tell your friends, give us some love. Now that we're on YouTube, we kind of have these like goals as we go. Omar popping in the chat. He said, "What's good, JPJ?" And hopefully determined to do the Prince Nana dance on stream, Drew.
Listen,
Roundtable, you
Omar
are right there as well.
Omar this week was insane when it comes to wrestling news and life and wrestling news. So I'm gonna have to postpone the Prince Nana dance. I think we'll probably do that next week.
Yeah.
So mark your calendars down. We will do that next week.
Yes. All right. Well, I mean, Roundtable, Sinner mentioned it. He said it also plays off of BCC trying to get Garcia to join them a year or so ago. Well, the very next match we saw here was Daniel Garcia going one-on-one.
I actually didn't think of that.
With the newly signed, or at least the newly reported signing to AEW / Ring of Honor, Shane Taylor. We've seen him on Ring of Honor / AEW for a little bit now, but it was reported either Friday or before Collision yesterday. It was reported that he has an AEW / Ring of Honor contract.
Yeah, very happy about that.
I am as well. I've only really seen him on this. Like I've seen matches and clips on YouTube and stuff, but I've really only seen him like in the flesh live doing the AEW Ring of Honor stuff since Tony has purchased Ring of Honor. Shane Taylor Promotions, the whole stick, Lee Moriarty, I love. I'm digging it. And he had a really good match here with Daniel Garcia. And Daniel Garcia obviously gets the victory. I have loved what they're doing with Daniel Garcia this whole way. And this is not the first time or last time tonight we'll be talking about Daniel Garcia. But Wordsmith saying the fact that you are not talking about Daddy Magic right now. I know. Hey, I know. Daddy Magic really like one of the guys that has been taking care of Daniel Garcia this whole time, been looking out for him.
So I wanted to mention, I'm glad Daddy Magic was mentioned because I find it really interesting, the dynamic now, because it kind of switched from what it used to be even like a little over a month ago, where every time Daniel Garcia would start to do the dance, Daddy Magic would stop him. But now he feeds into it.
Yeah.
Like it totally, they're into that now. And Daniel Garcia, they mentioned this, is on a winning streak. And I love now that they dropped the teasing of the breakup between him and Daddy Magic, because first of all, I love them together. I think they're actually a great duo. I don't know where Cool Hand Ange fits into this really. It doesn't.
He's
seem
with
like
Ruby, isn't he? Isn't he doing side things with Ruby?
Yeah, he's like with Ruby, I guess. But him and Daddy Magic were like a well-known tag team, and they're rarely together anymore.
Yeah,
except for when they fight off the CMLL guys randomly. But yeah, I mean it's really nice to see Shane Taylor wrestling more frequently now on TV.
Agreed.
His chops, are so loud.
Yeah,
and so violent.
Yeah,
that first chop that he did on Daniel Garcia, you could see it almost immediately form on his chest.
Yeah. Well, your cat just popped on there, but I was like, okay. Yeah. So when that match started, Lou, he hopped on the couch and he wanted pets, right? So I'm like, okay. So I'm kind of like, the TV's going, I'm paying attention, but I'm petting Lou. And you mentioned that first chop. As I'm petting Lou and kind of not looking at the TV, I hear that first chop. And out loud, I just go, shit. And I just like look at the TV. And then I was just like, holy moly, that hurt me. That hurt me. And I was like, oh, and unbelievable. Unbelievable. Daniel Garcia is going to be a massive star this year, man. They started doing this stuff late last year and kind of giving him some layers during the CC or C squared, whatever you want to call it, the Continental Classic. Even though he didn't win, didn't make it out, like they started giving him layers as like a character and as a person, and you could see they were starting to like slow build to something big for him, and they're still on that way.
Mm-hmm.
But that guy, Sinner mentioned that Daddy Magic is on the cusp of being a breakout star. I agree with that. Yeah. I agree with that, but Daniel Garcia is on the cusp of being a main event world champion breakout star this year. Like that is the level that Daniel Garcia will. They mentioned, how many times did they mention in this match last night that he was only 25 years old? That they mentioned it at least 2 or 3 times. 25. 25. He's only 25. He's only 25.
It is
that guy
is great, and having Daddy Magic on commentary for matches is there should be like more wrestler pairings where the guy who's really good at commentary is doing commentary for that other person's match.
100%.
Because it's such 100%. A great way to watch the show. You know?
I agree. After this, we got Eddie Kingston backstage is being interviewed first and foremost. And we saw this throughout the night too, in all the different interviews, like multiple people referenced, and we'll talk about it when we talk about Dynamite, but multiple people before they dived into the heart of their promos, they referenced what the Young Bucks did to Sting and Darby Allin on Wednesday. I think it happened. That happened during this. It happened during the, I almost called him Edge, during the Adam Copeland thing, which we'll talk about in a little bit. I like that, how everybody was like, hey, I got something I got to talk about, but first and foremost, Young Bucks, go fuck yourself. That was messed up, man. That was messed up. I like that, like little inkling there. But he talks about, he says, hey, Daniel Bryan, he said the Young Bucks, that's what he said. He said, I want to call out the Young Bucks. What you did on Wednesday night was disgusting. You stole a moment from Darby and Sting. You stole their thunder. And he goes, and I want to talk about somebody else, Bryan Danielson. He also likes to steal people's thunder. You stole Brian Keats' thunder. Kid, you just got signed, was having his moment, and you came out and stole all the things for yourself to have everyone looking at you and stuff like that. He challenges him for a match at Revolution. Hell yes. Give it to me again. Give it to me all the time, Drew. Clip that. And then but the condition here is if Kingston wins, Danielson will be forced to shake Eddie Kingston's hand. So it looks like we're getting the third matchup here with Danielson and Eddie Kingston. I expect it to be as good as the other two, but I
believe it was 1-1, right? Each one of one.
Yes,
match.
Danielson won the first one. Kingston won the second one to get to the finals and the Continental Classic. So this would be the rubber match, I believe. Yeah. And then obviously if did they say it's for the belts? Is it for the Triple Crown? Did they say
imagining
that? I'm assuming it's going to be. But the only thing they did mention last night is if Danielson loses, he's got to shake Eddie's hand. You give the belts to Danielson here, or do you have Kingston beat him again?
And
I'm sure we'll have a preview this Sunday. I believe it's on a Sunday, right? March 3rd. It's on a Sunday. So
is that a Sunday?
Revolution is on a Sunday, I believe. I think it's on Sunday, March 3rd.
Oh,
so
yes,
that show will most likely be a quick review show and a Revolution preview show. So we'll talk about it more at length when we're closer there in a couple of weeks. But first and foremost, like if you had to pick early on right here, like what do you think happens? Do you think Danielson wins the Triple Crown?
It's difficult because I love Eddie Kingston and I feel like him slaying his dragon, so to speak.
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Slaying his dragon, I think, is great. However, I don't see. I'm thinking about what's going on right now in the AEW landscape, and I just don't know where Eddie Kingston goes past this match with Bryan Danielson. but I can
Okay.
see Bryan Danielson with the CMLL aspect and it being his, as he says, final year of wrestling. We don't know if that's actually the case.
Yeah.
He's doing, he just did a match this morning in New Japan against Zack Sabre Jr., which Zack Sabre Jr. won. And I feel like there's more to Danielson winning those titles versus Eddie retaining them.
Okay. We'll see. We'll see. Right. I would assume, like you said, I would assume that the belts are on the line here, but I don't think they've officially announced anything yet. So we'll see. We'll see where it goes.
Well, because Danielson hasn't responded to him yet.
Exactly.
So.
Exactly. All right. We
But
then
he's
had,
going to say yes.
of course, we then had Brian Cage manhandle the Outrunners by himself in a quick little 1-on-2 squash match.
The Outrunners are not outrunning anybody.
No. And they at the Las Vegas Golden Knights mascot was out there as well, Chance. And after the match, Brian Cage attacked him, which got some good heat from the crowd, as you would expect. And then Hook came out to make the save, and him and Brian Cage brawled for a little bit around the on the ramp and stuff like that. So yeah, that's what happened there. Cool. All right. We're getting Hook and Brian Cage. Is that happening sooner than the pay-per-view, or are they saving that for the pay-per-view? Is that going to be a Revolution match?
I didn't hear if it's going to be a Revolution match.
That's what my thing. I didn't know if they had.
I feel like it makes more sense to do on TV.
Yeah, like a Dynamite or a Ramp. Yeah, I agree. What did we get now? Yeah, so I'm looking at my notes here. We got Ishii, Tomohiro Ishii, was backstage, and he was met by Roderick Strong, Matt Taven, and Mike Bennett. Taven yelled at Ishii for never reaching back to him after the injury that sidelined him and like kicked him out of Chaos in New Japan. So they made some references there. And Roderick Strong basically said, hey, if you win the international title tonight in the main event against Orange Cassidy, that Roderick Strong would be breaking Ishii in half at Revolution and winning that belt. And Ishii didn't even say a word. He just looked very Ishii-like and was like, yeah, I don't care.
He doesn't really talk, right?
No. But yeah, so that was... No. So that was the big thing, was basically Roderick Strong saying, hey, if you win the title tonight, it'll be you and me at Revolution, and I'm going to beat you, just like I'm going to beat Orange Cassidy. Whatever. All right. We then had Adam Copeland. He comes out to the ring. He says a little something about the Young Bucks, and he actually says, like, hey, he basically teases that at some point down the line, he's going to fight the Young Bucks. Yeah. He mentions what happens. He goes, we haven't run into each other yet, but in due time, kind of thing. And then he starts talking about Christian Cage again. And he says, hey, he goes, I'm here to reiterate that my aim is still for the TNT Championship. And then all of a sudden he's interrupted by someone we saw earlier, Daniel Garcia. Daniel Garcia comes out. He says, hey, this is no disrespect to you. You have been winning a lot lately. You have deserved to be where you're at. He goes, but you're not the only one that's been winning a lot lately. I've been winning a lot lately. And he said, and I also am interested in the TNT Championship and winning some gold around here. So I just, no disrespect, but you're not the only one. And I almost called him Edge again. Damn it. And Adam Copeland says, you know what? You are telling the truth. So how about this Wednesday night on Dynamite? It's you and me one-on-one. And Daniel Garcia accepts. And then Edge says, you already wrestled tonight, so that's why I'm not breaking your face in half right now. But on Wednesday, I'm beating your ass. And I kind of like that. I kind of like that attitude from Adam Copeland. I kind of liked it. I kind of liked it.
This was everything that I hoped for when Adam Copeland debuted in this company, honestly. And I feel like with the Cope Open that they're calling, it should have just been called the Copen Challenge. I don't know why they didn't do that.
The Copen Challenge.
I mean, it was right there. It was right there, AEW. And I like saying that more than Cope Open.
It's fair.
But anyway, um, he's delivered on these fresh matches with younger stars, and
Yep.
that is similar to, like, I feel like when CM Punk first came into the company, he, like, talked about wanting to work with younger stars,
Yep.
and he did for a little bit.
For a little
Didn't
bit.
do
Yep.
it as long
Yep.
as I would have thought. Like, he did work with Hobbs, he did work with Ricky. He's never had a match with Hook, right? I don't remember. I know he did the Send Hook meme, which was very
Yeah. I
popular,
don't think
but
no.
I don't remember him ever actually having a match with Hook. Um, but yeah, I think that he had a match with he's gonna have a match with Daniel Garcia. He's
Yep.
had a match with Lee Moriarty.
Yep.
He's had a match with oh my god, why am I forgetting his name? Anyway, he's had
Yeah.
matches with young stars, and
Mm-hmm.
it's really awesome to see that. Now,
Yep.
also, Daniel Garcia did mention that he is when it comes to the big ones, he doesn't exactly win them, which is unfortunate because that's kind of what I foresee happening here.
Yeah.
However, now that Sinner reminded me about the FTR and Daniel with the BCC factor where they were trying to get him into BCC,
Mm-hmm.
I can foresee he loses to Adam Copeland, but then he helps out FTR because, FTR has I don't know what's going on. Is Wheeler Yuta injured?
Yeah. I haven't seen him. Maybe. I feel like it's really only been the three of them that we've seen.
Yes, it's been a few weeks since I remember seeing Wheeler Yuta.
Yeah.
Um, and Wheeler and Daniel Garcia have had, a bunch of matches already that are
Mm-hmm.
all so phenomenal. And
Yep.
I feel like when Wheeler Yuta gets back, that's when Daniel Garcia will rejoin with FTR, and then that'll reignite the BCC Daniel Garcia stuff. And we'll see what happens there. But I honestly, while I didn't particularly enjoy Daniel Garcia with the Jericho Appreciation Society, I do enjoy him with FTR.
So yeah, I do too.
So I don't know what's going to happen there, but I'm excited.
I love it. I love it. Speaking of something I loved, this next match was fun as hell. Was fun as hell.
I was waiting for you
Yeah.
because I saw
Two
when I
dudes that I
watched this
adore.
match,
Yeah.
I was like, oh boy.
Yeah. This
Go
match was
ahead.
for me. They put this on Collision for me. Brody King had a great match, just a fun match. He defeated Mark Briscoe. Yeah, man. I mean, the match was as good as you thought. They beat the crap out of each other. They were high flying. There was some stuff that happened outside. I love Brody King, man. I love both these guys, but Brody King is, I mean, on JPJ's personal list of AEW favorites, Brody King is damn near the top. He's damn near the top. Mark Briscoe is also somebody that I did not think he would be. I did not think that he would be as good a singles guy as he's been so far. Obviously, he was thrust into this, unfortunately, with what happened with Jay. But ever since, he took the time off and all that stuff, ever since he's come back, like he's been a legitimate singles guy here. And he's a guy that like the crowd is 100% behind. And I could really see in the future a Mark Briscoe singles run where the crowd is like really, really behind him going for a big time singles title. And I hope that does happen at some point. But this match was fun as hell, man. And what happened after it was fucking crazy. And it was like, all right, which we'll talk about. But I thought all in all, at least to start, this match was a friggin' blast, Drew. I do think Brody King getting the win is right now the right thing to do. I think Brody King should be going for singles championships.
Yeah, there were two parts of this match that I wrote down that I needed to mention because so one of them, when Brody King does his cannonball, I legitimately get scared because the way that he does it is always perfect. It's so perfect that
and he does it very differently.
His opponent's head is always squishing up against the turnbuckle, and I'm like, oh god,
and he does it differently than you see. Like, so Kevin Owens, right? Kevin Owens does the cannonball, and he does a cannonball really good. But the way Kevin Owens does it is like the majority of his body hits the turnbuckle to protect his opponent. Brody King does it that like the majority of his body hits the opponent in the chest. So he like dives in and hits you here.
Yeah.
Like with his shoulders, basically, like on the, and it just looks more, it looks more violent. It looks like it hurts more.
Yeah. I would never want to feel that pain.
Yeah. I also thought, and I don't know, I don't want to step on your second part, but when he gave the slam to Mark Briscoe on the chair on the outside.
Oh, yeah.
Gnarly looking, but he makes it, but you could tell it was safe, but it just looks gnarly.
Oh, he makes things look
What was the second?
Vicious and violent. He even said that at one point in the match. I remember he's like violent, like he screamed like violence or whatever. The other part was Mark Briscoe's twisting moonsault has to be one of the best ones I've ever seen.
Yeah,
honestly, like the way he just gets his back so perfectly on Brody King and goes right up on his feet, like no issue at all. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
But yeah, the post match, wow, that was a lot of blood.
So all right, post match, Brody King shoves the ref out of the way, picks up Mark Briscoe, holds him, and Julia Hart gets in the ring, and she has a spike. She has basically a giant looking nail. And she literally just stabs Mark Briscoe in the forehead with this spike, just boom, just like that. And everyone's like, oh God. And then Mark Briscoe, he was bleeding everywhere. I don't know if he just bladed and did it multiple, like he was bleeding from more than one spot in his head. So it was just, but there was a lot of blood. There was a lot of blood.
Gnarly.
Yeah. A lot of blood. And it looked, like you said, like, that seems to be the word of this match, gnarly. It looked gruesome. And I hope it continues the story because I'm all in with Mark Briscoe just having trouble. The House of Black is messing with Mark Briscoe. Have it keep going and have eventually Mark Briscoe make his way through them or find friends that help him or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, I liked what we saw last night. I liked it a lot. We then had Brian Keith cutting a backstage promo. He said he's basically looking for all the big matches and all the big titles. He said that he was there to go up in the rankings and catch some bounties, he said.
I like this promo.
I did too. I thought it was a nice little promo. I would like to hear him talk more. Get some more promos under his belt, the more we see him and stuff like that. But I liked Briscoe is listed with the Hardys. Is that true? I think the Hardys are going a little heel, it feels like, aren't they?
Yeah, I don't know if that's gonna last very long.
Oh, here we go. Here it comes.
I'm watching, so it's not gonna be
no, going that way. No. All right. We then had Drew. We had back-to-back women's matches here. I thought I saw the butt shake like they were planning it. They were planning the jump, and then they're scared. They're nervous. Okay, all right, there it is. All right, they made it. We had Deonna Purrazzo defeat Kiera Hogan. That was a nice little match. I like what AEW is doing here because Deonna Purrazzo had debuted, and she's basically wrestled almost every show, I feel like. since she's debuted. Like,
at least
she's
once a week.
At least once a week. But there have been multiple times where she's wrestled on both shows or 2 out of the 3 shows, things like that. So I like what they're doing with her, automatically positioning her immediately as someone who is going for a title and might win the thing, to be honest with you. Yeah. What'd you think of the Purrazzo? Because then they kind of layer into each other a little bit. But
and I want to really talk about it as a whole. So let's get into that match too.
Okay. So Deonna Purrazzo beats Kiera Hogan. And as Deonna Purrazzo is celebrating heading up the ramp, we hear Toni Storm's music. And Toni Storm comes out with Luther and Mariah May in tow. And she is going up against Queen Aminata in a AEW Women's Championship Eliminator match. And they had a really good match. I know we talked about Queen Aminata last week. Again.
We're going to talk about her again.
Continues to impress me a lot, Drew.
Yeah.
And they mentioned it on commentary. They said, hey, I know she hasn't gotten a lot of wins, but look at who she's wrestled since she's been here. Toni Storm, Willow Nightingale, Chris Statlander. And they just ran through all the people that Queen Aminata has fought, and they're all top of the card champion level women.
And women who have been champion.
Correct. And I think there's a reason for that, is because this Queen Aminata is very good, Drew.
Yeah.
I'm very impressed by her. I know I said it last week, but I am continued to be very impressed by her because I did not know her at all before seeing her on AEW. And even though she hasn't racked up a lot of wins, you can tell, even though you're not winning matches in front of me, you can tell how they feel about somebody by putting them in the ring with these people. And the fact that she's been in the ring with this list of ladies, that tells you that AEW already has very strong faith in Queen Aminata, and she's killing it.
Also, she had I haven't watched it yet. I'm going to watch it today, later on. But she had a sit-down interview with Renee Paquette.
Yeah, that was on an internet show, right?
I think it was on
podcast
YouTube.
Or something. Yeah.
And I definitely want to check that out. But everyone talks very highly of her.
Yeah.
And
for good reason.
Absolutely. I really enjoy watching her in the ring. And like you mentioned, the people that she's already wrestled are high, top tier, top of the card talent, champions, former champions.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just special. Like, she has this.
You can tell.
This such a special aura about her. And honestly, I think this match was my favorite of hers so far.
It was very good. It was very, very good.
Now for the whole thing,
oh yes, go ahead. Yeah.
For the women's block, as I like to call it now, I didn't hate it. I really didn't.
Well,
in the past couple of weeks, have had 2 women's matches on Collision.
Yes, they have.
I really liked, in this case, how it just seamlessly transitioned into the next match without the first match didn't have a commercial break.
No. And the first match was relatively quick between.
I'd say it was like 3.5, 4 minutes.
Yeah, it was a quick one. Yeah.
And then led into Timeless Toni Storm, of course, coming out, and her match with Queen Aminata starting. And they went a little bit before commercial started.
Yeah, they had time.
So if this is the route that they go, I'm not a ratings person. I really don't care about that stuff.
Yeah, me neither.
But I'm very interested to see the quarter-hour ratings on that women's block last night.
That's fair.
Because that's the true test of the AEW women's division on the viewing audience.
Yeah.
I want to see consistency to arise on that, because those matches deserved viewership, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and the women's, I believe we talked about this last week too. This women's division has been on fire lately. And you could not say that just a couple of short months ago.
Agreed. And we will talk about the women's division maybe continuing to be on fire when we talk about Dynamite.
Which is most likely why. It is
Yes.
on fire.
Yes. But you could tell there has been a very, very strong effort over the last couple months to make the women division matter. And again, there's still ways to go here, but the women's division is definitely on the up and up on AEW. There's been some shows where the women's division has been the best thing on the show. And that's a good thing. We need more of that. After the match, Tony Storm promised to release a new short film this coming Wednesday on Dynamite called Wet Ink, whatever that means. And that's going to be on the Valentine's Day Dynamite. Dynamite is on Valentine's Day this Wednesday. So it's going to be called Wet Ink. And then she said she was going to take out Deonna Purrazzo at AEW Revolution. So we'll have to see how that goes.
That was such a unique way to cut that promo, too.
Yeah, she was laying down in the ring. The camera was like looking down on her.
Oh,
God. It was very different, but it was funny. I liked it. And then we're up to the main event, Drew. And the main event is for the AEW International Championship. It is OC, Orange Cassidy, defending against Tomohiro Ishii. This match went exactly the way I thought it would go. I thought it was a solid match. It was a good match. It was basically Orange Cassidy getting the shit kicked out of him. The majority of the match by Ishii, doing some high spots here or there. But at the end, small package, roll-up victory for OC as he escapes again and is still the international champion. I don't think anybody anywhere thought Ishii was going to win this belt last night. But again, another entertaining, great match from the international champion OC and his opponent. Talk to me what you thought about this main event before we dive into kind of what happened after.
Well, we did talk about the show being mid, right?
It was. Did you think the main event was mid?
This wasn't the main event for me, honestly.
I feel like it was nothing new from what we're used to when it comes to Orange Cassidy.
Yeah, like I barely paid attention to it, to be honest with you, because I knew already who was winning.
Yeah,
and I know that there's like, and I don't mean this in jest, but there's like a love fest with Orange Cassidy, which is deserved because he's great. I'm not saying it to like,
of course.
But I really don't feel there's a love fest with not just Orange Cassidy, but also with New Japan and anything New Japan. And nothing against Ishii as well, because I think he's a great wrestler. But this is just not for me. They're fine. I enjoy them wrestling, but as the main event of the show, I don't know. It was just like, oh, okay. It's the logical ending that we already know is happening, and on top of that, it was a roll-up win. It wasn't
that's
even
what
like
I feel like. That's what a lot of
win.
OCs. I feel like a lot of OCs title defenses in both runs before he lost it and got it back, but I feel like a lot of them are that. Like he wins with a roll-up pin of some sort, or like that's kind of his shtick.
Yeah, it has happened often. You're right. So I'm just like, okay, fine. That's the main event. Orange Cassidy's music and him holding up the title and New Japan and.
Well, after this, Drew, when he was holding up that title and doing whatever, we saw Mike Bennett get into the ring and he hits a pile driver on Orange Cassidy, and we see Roderick Strong and Matt Taven down there. And it looks like they're about to beat the crap out of OC. And then we see Ishii and Trent Beretta slide into the ring and kind of chase off the Undisputed Kingdom.
That'll be a fine little mini feud until Revolution.
Yeah, nice little 6-man. Yeah, with OC, Trent, and Ishii verse.
But I'm gonna be honest with you. I really feel like Roddy needs to be winning that title of Revolution.
I think he might. I think he's going to. I think the end game here, and again, we haven't heard anything about how Wardlow is, because it looked like he might have hurt himself last week on Dynamite. I don't think we've heard anything about that, or at least if we did, I missed it. But I do think that either. I do think the end game here is they're all going to hold the belts. Roderick will have the international. They already have the Ring of Honor tag. I don't know if they're going to. I mean, it obviously depends on Wardlow's health, but I don't know if eventually they are going to do the angle where Wardlow wins the world title and then Adam Cole's expecting him to give it to him, and they do that. I don't know if they're ever going to do that, but I do think the Undisputed Kingdom will have all the gold, or all of them will at least have some gold moving forward, and kind of, because they got to do something until Adam Cole's ready to go. They got to do something. So we'll see. But that basically ended up Collision. I thought Collision, again, things I liked on it. It was an entertaining show. I'm not going to sit here and say it was a bad show, but I thought it was a very episode of Collision.
You know, if we have to do a rating, and I hate doing ratings, but if we had to do a rating, I would give it a C+.
Fair. Okay. Yeah. I'm not against that. I'm not against it. So now we're going to talk about Dynamite. I thought Dynamite was a far superior show to Collision this week. And let me tell you, Dynamite started off with
hot as hell.
Yeah. I could watch these two guys wrestle all the time. All the time, Drew. They've had 3 matches. This was the 3rd match. All 3 matches dramatically different from each other. Dramatically different from each other. And all 3 matches are classics. This match that opened Dynamite was an amazing match. It could be, I mean, I know it's early. It's the beginning of February. Could be my match of the year so far. That's how good this friggin' match was. Amazing. Between Hangman Adam Page and Swerve Strickland. The winner was going to become the number 1 contender for Samoa Joe's AEW World Heavyweight Championship at Revolution. They went 30 minutes, and it looked like at the end of the match, they did the thing where it looked like Swerve was going to win. He hit the JML driver. He's going to count 1, 2, ding, 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 ding. So they did the thing, 30 minutes back and forth, these guys just crushing each other. Swerve ended up hitting a friggin' buckshot lariat in this match, which ruled. That whole thing ruled. They were going back and it was just amazing, Drew. It was amazing. They get the time limit draw. Swerve does the thing where he's asking for 5 more minutes. And Hangman here says no. Hangman goes, yeah, no. You needed to beat me. You did not beat me. You're not getting 5 more minutes. And then all of a sudden, Hangman's walking up the ramp. Tony Schiavone stands up from the table. And he says, hey, just got word from Tony out back that at Revolution, this is going to be not triple threat. That's WWE. A 3-way match for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. It will be Samoa Joe versus Hangman Adam Page versus Swerve Strickland. Hangman was pissed. How'd you feel? They have Hangman, like, Swerve is over, right? Swerve.
Oh, yeah.
Swerve has been the heel in this whole story, but Swerve is super over. And I felt like at the end of this, they were kind of, I don't think Hangman is turning heel here. I think this is just Swerve is the one guy that just brings Hangman to the brink of just losing his mind kind of thing, maybe. But it seemed like with Swerve being the one asking for 5 more minutes and Hangman saying no, and then Hangman reacting the way he did when they announced the 3-way and him kind of with the crazy eyes and yelling, this is bullshit, not fair. It kind of seemed like, I don't know. They're kind of going both ways here, but this 3-way is going to rule, Drew.
It really
is going to be amazing.
And so I actually have to agree with you. I do think this is the match of the year so far, because not just because of the match itself, but the story that it was telling.
Yeah.
From the moment the show started, the crowd was super hot for this match.
Oh yeah.
And I feel like what the crowd did here, this is where crowd participation is.
This crowd was great. This crowd was great on Dynamite. This crowd was great.
the crowd being pro Swerve
Mhm.
showed the annoyance on Hangman's face
Yeah.
because it made him more physically violent towards Swerve. And that physicality, I think, because last week I remember talking about how in that main event with FT Garcia and who was it? It was House of Black, I think, right?
Yes. Yes.
Um, in that main event last week on Collision, they were doing the quick pins in the beginning because they're trying
Mhm.
to get up the rankings. But what I really liked about this, a contrast to that, the first pin didn't really come until like 10 plus minutes into the match
Mhm.
because this, while, yes, getting up in the rankings and becoming the number one contender is important,
Of course.
they want to hurt each other.
Sure did.
They're not hurting each other if they're pinning each other.
Mhm.
So I really love that dynamic between the two of them because they have and it's not even like a year long, this rivalry.
No.
It's like 6 months,
Yeah.
but it feels like it's years long, and I love that. The chemistry that these 2 have together
Oh my god.
is incredible. I
Yeah.
never thought that these 2 would have this type of chemistry,
Yeah. Yeah.
and what they've done now with this match, now they've kind of positioned it to where there's sort of a double turn in a
That's what
sense.
it felt like. It felt like it was a double turn to me, or it was the starting one potentially with Hangman
Yeah,
kind of going heelish and Swerve becoming the babyface.
and I feel like because last week I mentioned Prince Nana is gonna interfere. I said it on the
Tried.
Dynamite when he said it in Dynamite, I'm like, "Oh god."
Yeah.
You could see it, like, on his face, he's like, "Hmm," and then he was kinda, like, teasing it on Twitter too, like,
Yep.
"Oh, yeah, I'm not interfering, wink, wink,"
Yep.
you know? But he didn't interfere.
No, he
There
tried
was
to though.
one No, 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 he didn't. The one part the one
Hangman yelled
part
at him.
that Hangman yelled at him for, he
Yeah.
didn't actually do that. That was the brilliant thing about this because he was um, Swerve put his foot on the rope,
Yeah.
but Hangman thought that
Nana
Nana
put the foot
put
on the
his
rope.
foot on the rope,
Yes.
and that made Hangman go apeshit on him.
Yeah.
He took a
Yeah.
chair, he swung it at him, knocked him out for the rest of the match. But what I particularly loved right before that was Hangman, who does not go for a count-out victory
Mhm.
because he is noble or was noble.
I was gonna say, he said, "Count him." He's yelling,
He
"Count him."
he dives back in that ring and he's like, "Count him, count him." That's
Yep.
why I was like, "Oh shit, they're starting it." That's the start of the heel turn right there. He gets in the ring, says, "Count him" to the ref, and he starts counting, and this was before Nana got hit with the chair.
Yeah.
It was like a video game power up in a sense.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
just gets right up on Swerve on the floor, and he just starts doing the dance. He just
Mhm.
starts doing the dance. He's like, "Come on, Swerve. Come on, Swerve."
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was just enough to get to that 9 count, and Swerve dives right back in the ring.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
hilarious, and that's why these 2 can't break up, honestly. And I'm a little bit worried about it based off of what happened on Collision last night with Brian Cage because that mascot, I forgot the name of the mascot, did
Chance.
dance.
I think it's
Chance.
Chance. I think
Yeah,
it's
I
Chance.
was gonna mention this when we were talking about it and I forgot. Chance did the dance, nice rhyme, and, uh, and then Brian Cage attacked him,
Mhm.
and Swerve, and, Prince Nana wasn't very babyface with that because he was encouraging it. Um, so I don't know if there's gonna be some weird dynamic with Mogul Embassy and Swerve, where Swerve is gonna have to put them in their place, and they don't like it, and then they beat him down, and he ends up going solo.
Mhm.
Um, I just the dance is just so over. It's like one of the greatest things on
Oh,
TV.
for sure. Yeah, it's incredible.
So
It's
and
incredible.
I'm gonna reiterate what I said last week. To not have that be a thing will be very sad. It will be very sad because when Swerve comes out without Nana doing the dance, it just doesn't feel the same.
Yeah.
It's a part of the act. It's a part of the entrance. So to not have that anymore is just gonna be very sad.
Yeah, I agree. But I mean, so we know it's a three-way now at Revolution. Do we think, cuz I don't think, do we think that the two of their hatred of each other is going to be something that gets in the way, and Joe's going to retain and escape because of it? Or do we think, you know what I mean? There's multiple ways you can go here. You can go with them two not being able to like get over their feelings for each other, and that helps Joe win and retain the belt. Or you could do a way where one of them wins the belt, and now you have them two continuing to go after each other, but now there's a championship. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
Or is it one of those things where Joe retains due to that, and then you just keep Hangman and Swerve together, still going at it, or do you have them break apart with each other for a little bit and be one of those things that just always comes back with each other? Because they've had three
Um,
matches now. I assume
when
at some, to me, this is becoming the type of feud where they are going to be crossing paths every so often for the rest of their AEW careers. Like
yeah,
that's
I
where I
agree with
feel like
that.
we're at with this. So there's really a lot of ways we can go about it. Obviously Joe just won the title. So it's not one of those things. Do you want to take it off Joe that quickly? Or do you want him to hold it more? I don't know. But I feel like it's very intriguing the ways they can go with the three-way now at Revolution. It's
Yeah.
very intriguing how they go about it.
The the beauty of this finish, because I had predicted that Nana was going to interfere and
Yeah.
it was gonna cost Swerve the match.
Yes.
With him not interfering and it going to a DQ, it's this one's a difficult one, honestly. This is one of the more
Yeah,
difficult ones to even predict
I
because
agree. When we have more time, we got a couple more. We got about 2 or 3 more weeks before we get there. So, but
right now, looking at it, I want Swerve to win the
yeah,
championship.
Swerve's the dude. But do you figure out a way where this doesn't happen for Swerve? And then if you are doing a turn to make him a babyface, then you can build to Double or Nothing in May. And that's the moment that we crown Swerve as the champion against either Hangman or Joe or whoever. Because then you have the whole thing of Adam Cole looming over this as well, because that story was clearly being built without the injury to Adam Cole beating MJF for the world title
Right.
and being the champion. So you have to assume that once Adam Cole and MJF are both healthy, that's going to happen at some point. And if that happens, do they
Okay, now
automatically go, okay, do we need this to be around the title? Because that was the original, or do they go, no, this doesn't need a title? I think you
here's the
can do that
thing.
without a title. It's a lot of things happening.
I feel like so the MJF factor in all of this, obviously, it's like a looming thing. That's like
Mm-hmm.
eventually MJF is going to be back, and I feel like Adam Cole should be the champion
Yeah.
when MJF comes back.
Yes.
And I feel like his return should mirror his return when CM Punk won the title.
Mm.
When he revealed the devil, that night when he did the devil thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So maybe MJF is out long enough to where Swerve wins the title against Samoa Joe at Double or Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And then Swerve is the champion to All Out. And Adam Cole wins at All Out. And then Adam Cole basically replaces CM Punk in the scenario. And that's where MJF comes back. And they take off and do their thing. But then again, like Sinner said, because I was actually going to just say this now, it doesn't feel like they need the title.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's really about the friendship breaking.
Yeah.
It's not about the title. Because Adam Cole didn't even make it about the title. He just made it about crushing MJF's spirit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So maybe then when it comes to this triple threat, we do that what we said, and the Hangman aspect makes Swerve lose, and then they go to Double or Nothing at what Swerve. I don't know what happens with the rankings when. I don't know what's going to happen to the rankings when Samoa Joe wins at Revolution. Like, do they just go down? Do they drop down completely, or are they going to be like at number 3, number 4? I don't know how that's going to work.
Yeah, it's fair.
So
it's fair. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
Right after this match, we have Renee Paquette in the back, who has Samoa Joe at her side, and he's pissed. He's not happy. But at the end of the day, he says he doesn't care who he's facing at Revolution. It doesn't matter how many people they put in front of him. He's walking out of Revolution with his title intact and still the AEW World Champion. We then had ourselves an AEW World's Championship Eliminator match on Dynamite this week as well. It was Toni Storm going up against Red Velvet. We had Deonna Purrazzo on commentary for this match. I thought this was a nice little match. Red Velvet looked pretty good here. Tony's amazing. So, I mean,
yeah, Red Velvet has had quite the improvement, I have to say.
Yes. Yeah, I thought she looked very, very good in this match.
Yeah.
For all the pomp and circumstance that the Toni Storm character is, which is great, Toni Storm's still one of the best in the ring. Like, once she's in the ring, it's like, dude, she's just having banger matches. She's amazing. And I thought this was a really, really good match. Toni gets the victory. Deanna's on commentary, so they have a little standoff and, stuff like that. They're staring at each other. Deanna's talking, saying, I'm going to win this belt, things of that nature. Yeah, I thought this was a nice little match for Toni Storm. Yeah. And I thought it was a nice showing for Red Velvet as well. We've seen her have a couple good showings here. So,
yeah, more and more, particularly with the women's division. Like Queen, I feel like this time last year, Queen Aminata would have had like 2 matches on TV, and we wouldn't have seen her again for months.
Exactly, and the matches would have been 2 minutes long.
On TV.
And yeah,
same with Red Velvet too. Red Velvet's had a couple of matches the last few weeks on TV. Abaddon just had some matches on TV. Like it wasn't just, oh, here's the Halloween looking gimmick for Halloween, and now she's gone for a year again.
Yep.
So I'm liking this a lot.
Yeah, I am too. We then have a trios match. It is the Blackpool Combat Club, Jon Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, and Bryan Danielson going against Mascara Dorada, Hechicero, and Volador Jr. of CMLL. We talked about the CMLL stuff when we were talking about Collision at the top of the episode. Again, I thought this 6-man was fun as hell.
Yeah.
It was back and forth. I thought all the CMLL guys got their shit in. I thought they looked great in doing it. Couple of the moves made me like audibly go, wow, holy moly, wow. That, some of the flips and the Hurricane Ranas and just it was really good. And it, like you said, it was the fast, speedy guys going against the ground and pound, beat the shit out of you, wear you down Blackpool Combat Club. And I think it just works perfectly. I'm cool with the CMLL guys just feuding with the BCC for the 3 weeks, a month that they're here, whatever, however you want to do it. But I thought this 6-man ruled. BCC won, as you would expect. But I thought the match was awesome. And then after the match, the other guys, Mystico, Star Jr., and Esfinge, they hit the ring. They start attacking the BCC. And that's where we saw Matt Sydal, Christopher Daniels, Angelo Parker, and Matt Menard come out, run them off, which led to the matches that were on Rampage and Collision. But I thought all in all, real fun 6-man tag. Another great showcase for the CMLL guys and that little partnership they have going on. Yeah, I'll take this every week for as long as this is going, because it's been a lot of fun, and it's opening my eyes to new people that I did not know.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it, because like I said before, this type of aspect of the Forbidden Door, sign me up for all the time, because this makes it really exciting.
I agree. All right, we then have backstage. We have the Undisputed Kingdom. They're shown attacking Chuck Taylor in the back a little bit, kind of taking him out. I believe Chuck Taylor's still injured and not cleared.
Yeah, he's got an injury.
So they kind of played that off, that they attacked him and kind of took him out further and stuff like that. And then we had Tony Khan's big announcement. Now, earlier in the morning, TD Garden in Boston released that they were going to be selling tickets for AEW Dynamite. So it kind of spoiled the surprise a little bit. And if you were on Tony's Twitter, you could tell he was a little pissed off about it. Rightfully so, I feel like. The arena should probably... I feel like there should be some sort of communication where, like, when you make the agreement that, hey, this is where we're coming, like, somebody high up in the TD Garden should have known, okay, they're announcing it on this day at night.
Right.
So let's announce our shit the day after or something. Like, there should have been. But either way, Tony Khan is backstage. He says, hey, I know some of you might have heard this morning, but AEW Dynamite is coming back to Boston. It's coming back to the TD Garden on March 13th. And he said on that night, it will be not only a regular Dynamite, it'll be a special one. It'll be AEW Big Business is what they're calling it. And it said it will be, and he said it will be one of the most important evenings, not only in AEW history, Drew, but in professional wrestling history. I have look at this, ready? Boom. This was the graphic that they showed.
Yeah, something very interesting in the background.
Yeah, you can see kind of, and they spelled Boston wrong here, Drew.
I know.
Kind of on the left over here.
Somebody, the graphics department needs to take a look at
dollar signs and all sorts of stuff going on there. But as you can probably tell from, this is going to be the debut of Mercedes Moné. I think all of us would be shocked if it was not. Boston is her hometown. It's where she's billed from. It's where she grew up. She used to be called the Boss when she played a different character for a different company.
Peculiar spelling on that city name.
The dollar signs, Mercedes Moné, money. You know?
I hope she brings that New Japan Stardom theme with her.
I think
that's her theme.
I think she will. I'm sure that's probably with her. So gigantic. I said this on Beards, and I mean this. Okay. They're doing this the same way they did CM Punk, right? Where they're not telling you who's debuting, but they're making it very clear. Hey, this is going to be, they didn't say CM Punk was going to be at the Last Dance, but they made it pretty friggin' clear that CM Punk was going to be debuting at Rampage, the last day, First Dance, whatever they were called it, Last Dance, First Dance, whatever. First Dance, whatever. Yeah, and they made this very clear to me from that graphic from it being in Boston, from it being a special Dynamite, that Mercedes or someone gigantic is going to be debuting here. And I said it, don't get me wrong, CM Punk is probably, even though it didn't end well, CM Punk is probably their biggest signing in AEW's history. But I'll go on record and I will say that I think Mercedes Moné will be the biggest signing in the history of the company to this point when it happens. I truly feel that
so.
way.
Because I see positivity in the women's division this year, and she will bring her fans to the product because she has very, very
loyal,
very dedicated, loyal fans.
Yeah.
That are ride or die for her on social media. And I'm excited. I hope you're going to the show. You better be going to the show.
I will be in the building. I will be in the building when it happens.
I would love to go to the show.
Yeah.
But it's in the middle of the week and I have work, so I can't, unfortunately.
Yeah. I will be in the building and I will be very much losing my mind.
Yes.
When she shows up. Yeah. And it's after Revolution. It's after Revolution. I think Deonna will be the champion. I actually think she's going to beat Toni Storm for the belt at Revolution. I think you got to debut Mercedes going right for the belt immediately.
Agreed. Yeah.
Immediately.
She deserves that.
Yeah.
And I got to see Soraya's debut and I got to see Jay White's debut in person.
This will dwarf both of those.
Oh yeah. It won't be the CM Punk.
No. That's why I didn't want. I mean, I fully believe that Mercedes, though, it's hard to put it over CM Punk. It really is. But I think Mercedes is the big.
The thing that made that debut was Chicago.
Yeah.
Because Chicago is CM Punk country.
Yeah.
While Boston might be Mercedes country, I don't envision the reaction is going to be the same. It's not going to be the same. It's going to be loud. I know it's going to be loud, but the like minutes long reaction from that crowd.
Yeah, it's not going to be like that. It's not going to be like that. It's going to be a big, big ovation. The crowd will be losing it that she is there finally, and like it'll be. But yeah, you have to also understand Mercedes. Yes, she's been injured, but like Mercedes hasn't been not wrestling for 7 years. You know, there was a lot of other things. Was it Chicago for CM Punk? Yeah, of course it was Chicago. But he also
had been gone for a while.
Had been gone for 7 years and had been the guy for 7 years that everybody wanted to come back more than anybody. Like, you know, there was a lot of other factors going on there. Mercedes, we want to see her on our North American television screens. You know, a lot of us have missed her since she was an every week person that we saw. But I expect the debut to be gigantic. We have Sinner saying, if Mercedes debuts and goes right after the belt, wouldn't that completely defeat the purpose of the rankings? Well, how do you feel about the Deonna stuff? I know they just brought the rankings back, but Deonna basically debuted and went right after. She won a couple matches, but Deonna basically has just debuted and has a championship match at Revolution.
Is Deonna the same thing, right?
I would assume she's at the top of the rankings if she's going for the belt. Has she wrestled? I don't know. So like and listen, like I'm pro rankings. I like the rankings.
I feel like Mercedes
is above it. Not above it. But like, yeah, if you're signing someone like a Mercedes or a CM Punk or Randy, or if you're signing certain people,
well,
they can come in and go, hey, okay, you know.
But here's the thing, though. Technically, if we want to be technical with it, technically, she was signed before the rankings started.
Probably.
No, she was.
Yeah.
Fightful Select reported that this week.
Yeah.
She's been signed since January. The rankings started in February.
Yeah.
Right at the end of January.
So, all right. So maybe, all right. So, let's take Sinner's question into account, right? What if they don't do Mercedes going for the belt right away? What if they want her to have a big time match first? It's got to be Britt, right? If you're not talking one of the champions. So, all right. The loser of Deanna and Toni Storm has to be in play. Mercedes and Toni would be great. Mercedes and Deanna would be great. If we're not involving the belt right away with Mercedes. Other than those two, who else, if you're going to avoid the belt at the start with Mercedes, who else is at that?
They had a match.
Okay. They did. Mercedes and Britt would be huge, gigantic, and that's something you could build to Double or Nothing. And Britt has been a ghost. She's been nowhere on our television screens for months. For literal months.
She hasn't been on since the summer.
Yeah. I don't know if she's been banged up or been focused on her real life job as a dentist, like the real life job. I don't know. But Britt has been gone here. Not really existent. And she's been vocal sometimes on social media about how she hasn't been used. Does she come out maybe after Revolution and say, what the hell? I carried this division for 2 years and now I'm not even blah, 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 blah. And then Mercedes comes out and goes, okay, I'm here now. It's my division now. So prove it or something like that. I don't know. But to me, if you're going to have Mercedes debut and she's going to have a big time match right away, there's really only 3, maybe 4 people big enough right now that would, her and Saraya ain't going to, I'm sorry, no, I got no interest in that. Her and Toni would rule. Her and Britt would rule. Her and Deanna would rule. I don't think anybody else on the roster is of the stature currently.
So if we're talking heel women right now at the upper card,
because Mercedes is going to debut as a babyface, I would think, because she's going to the pops.
Oh yeah,
she has to. Yeah, I think she's a better heel. I think eventually she probably will be one, but when she's there for the first little bit, she's a babyface. Yeah, because the crowd is going to go ape shit for her everywhere.
There's Sky Blue.
That's not big enough. You got to have a big.
Well, I mean,
am I wrong?
There's some. I do agree with you there.
Thunder Rosa, that's a good one. Thunder Rosa's a good one. I'd be okay with that. I think that's a. I was not thinking of her, but Thunder Rosa, yeah.
But she's a babyface, though.
It's Britt.
Working together. I'm sorry.
It's Toni Storm. It's Deanna Purrazzo. I like the Willow comparison because they did have that match in New Japan, so maybe she could want some revenge or say, hey, I was hurt last time, and we didn't really get to finish what we were starting there. Yeah. But even me, and I know you love Willow too. We both love Willow. Is Willow at that level? Be honest.
No. But, okay, wait a minute. Julia Hart.
Could. But then Mercedes needs to win that belt then. Debut. You can't have her lose. She's not going to lose her debut. Sinner saying Thunder has more reason than anyone to be pissed about Mercedes coming in. Thunder never got the shot back at her title, and now Monet comes in. Yep. Thunder Rosa was not someone I thought about, but that Thunder Rosa is at that level to me. She's at that level to me.
Okay. Yeah, I don't hate that, actually. Now that you put that way, that makes sense.
I do think Britt is the perfect person, though.
Britt, though, yeah.
I do think she's the perfect person because she can come out and cut those promos a couple weeks. Because Revolution is on the 3rd, right? So that means the first Dynamite will happen on the 8th. After that, you could have Britt Baker come out and be pissed and cut a promo that says, hey, I did carry this division in the last year. I haven't even been used. What the hell? The disrespect, blah, 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 blah. I carried this division. And then you could even have her come out and double down on that promo the week of the 13th, or maybe Britt has a match the week of the 13th, because we haven't seen her wrestle in, it feels like almost a friggin' year at this point. I know it's not that long, but it feels like it. And then you could have Britt have a match in Boston, beat somebody, cut another promo. See, told you, easy, blah, 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 blah. And then all of a sudden, Mercedes comes out and goes, hey, it ain't easy anymore.
I was looking on AEWTix.com because I wanted to see if they're going to be in Pittsburgh anytime soon. But they're not. No, at least they're not showing it. They're
Yeah.
showing, Revolution and then the Boston show, and then they're doing a whole Canada run
Yes, I did know they're doing a
again in
Canada run.
March.
Yeah.
Uh, and then they're going to be in London, Ontario. Wait, London. Yeah, and into April too. They're going to be they're doing the Winnipeg, I think is the last show in Canada. So
I'm
there's a
okay.
potential that maybe when they come back from Canada, they go to Pittsburgh and Britt returns, because that Britt is like synonymous with Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
So I feel like if they're going to go to Pittsburgh at some point, that would be um the thing. Also, what Sinner just said about having Britt come out after
I'll be okay
her
with that.
debut
I'll be okay
could
with that.
be one of the big business things that Tony Khan was referring to in that
Yeah.
announcement.
I think that's a good way to go about it too. I think there's a lot of ways you can go about it, but just I think, I'm just happy Mercedes is going to be there and she's going to be back in wrestling more actively because she's great.
Yeah,
I
but
think AEW needs to stay away from Chicago a little bit. I think don't get me wrong, Chicago, one of the all-time, if not the greatest wrestling city for a crowd routinely, but it feels like they're in Chicago monthly almost. That's how often they go to Chicago. Like you do need to take away from Chicago a little bit.
yeah, there's not. They only have 1 or 2 shows yearly in New York.
Yeah.
They have the Grand Slam show, and then they have the Long Island show, and that's like it.
Yeah.
For the
I'm
most
glad
part.
Boston's getting kind of like a bigger Dynamite because, and I'm sure he says this at every fucking show, but Tony Khan, the last couple times they've been to Boston, he's like, hey, you guys always ball out when we come here. And you were the home of the second ever Dynamite. Like that was for a reason. And he's told us the last couple times, like, you're going to be the future home of an AEW pay-per-view. Like Boston, we are going to give you a pay-per-view. And he hasn't yet. But I mean, I think a special Dynamite, especially if we're having a huge debut like that, I think that's pretty good. I'm glad we're at least getting something. Don't get me wrong. Like, there are people that haven't gotten any AEW shows. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend that, like, I've been to Dynamite like 4 or 5 times because of where I live. So I'm not bitching.
Same.
But I would like a pay-per-view, or I would like, so at least a bigger Dynamite is cool. That makes me feel like, all right, because Boston is one of those markets where it's a passionate wrestling market. It's a passionate wrestling market.
And the
So I'm
shows
glad.
where I don't know if where you live this is the same, but where I live, at least I have the benefit of shooting down to 45-minute to an hour places in other
Yes.
states
Yeah, I do
where
know.
they do other big shows. Like they have
Yeah.
the Prudential Center in New Jersey where
Yeah.
they just did World's End.
Yeah.
So I was able to go to that because that's only 45, 50 minutes away from my house. And I've been in Philly for when it's ironic I'm going to mention this because Sinner is here and Sinner understands this, but I got to go to Extreme Rules.
Yeah, with Bray.
At WWE's Extreme Rules in Philly because it wasn't too far away. It's only like an hour and a half to 2 hour drive where Bray Wyatt returned.
Yeah. It's a lot easier for me to do that type of stuff when it does come to WWE, though, because WWE goes to Providence, Rhode Island, which is an hour away from me.
Right.
WWE goes to some places in Connecticut, which are only an hour or 2 hours away from me, which is doable. AEW, they really only go to Boston. AEW doesn't do a show in Providence, Rhode Island. They don't do a show in Maine or you know what I mean? Like, so I feel like AEW's really only come to Boston when they've come to the New England area, whereas WWE, because they've been entrenched for 60 years, they go to Hartford, Connecticut. They go to Providence, Rhode Island. That's
right.
So it's easier for me to make the trips like you do when it comes to WWE. AEW really has only come to Boston. So I've only, will that change as they hopefully continue to grow? They are still only 5 years old. It's not like they've been around for 40, 50, 60 years like WWE, where you have all these trenched markets
also
that have
do
had WWE stuff for 50 years.
They do Uncasville, Connecticut too, which is not too far away. I haven't gone to a show there, but I don't know if that's you're upper Massachusetts or lower Massachusetts.
I am upper. I'm like 15 minutes away from the New Hampshire border. So I am northern. I am like northern Massachusetts. It was 60 degrees yesterday, Drew. We're getting a foot of snow on Tuesday. Anyway, that's where I'm at. Yesterday, literally, people wearing tank tops and shorts like it's the goddamn summer out there. We're getting a foot of snow in 2 days. What the hell? And I'm not complaining. I like snow. I'm one of those weirdos that likes the cold, and I like
Oh
winter.
my god, you're telling me that I want to move up there because I don't get snow
like
anymore.
I like that. I like walking outside and it being so cold you feel like you got punched in the face. I like that shit. That's who I am as a person. But it was just 60 degrees, man. How are you going to go from 60 degrees to 20 and a foot of snow in 3 days?
There's a lot of people who I think we're getting off the rails here, but it's fine.
We're almost done. We only have like 2 more things to talk about.
What I love the most are people who are also in the Northeast and they go, "Oh my god, I hate the winter." What the fuck are you doing here then? Like you should appreciate and love all seasons if you live in the Northeast.
And like I'm obviously biased. I grew up in New England. I grew up in Massachusetts my whole life. But people like that complain every winter. Oh, I hate the winter. Okay, nobody's forcing you to stay here, bro. Like you live in New England. What did you think? We're gonna run into a winter where it doesn't fucking snow? Snows I've been doing it my whole life. We might have winters like last year where it barely snowed.
Yeah. Or
right?
It doesn't at all.
Yeah. But like from I don't know, it's always weird. People are like, oh, I hate the cold. Okay, well, like you cannot live around here if you want. I mean, it's gonna be cold, I don't know. It's bizarre. But anyway, the next part of Dynamite, I did not give one single fuck about. It was Konosuke Takeshita defeating Chris Jericho. I'm glad Takeshita won.
Yes,
I'm
that's
glad
the good
Takeshita won. And I do like Takeshita. I said it last week, Drew. I swear to God that I think since the stuff came out about Jericho, it feels to me that they're almost doubling down and they're saying, no, we're going to give you Jericho every fucking week in multiple segment matches. And I'm like, okay, well, I haven't been interested. And then this is not okay. If you're talking to Joe, the wrestling fan, Chris Jericho is somebody who I've liked for my whole life, really. Like he's always been near the top of my list as like greatest of all time. I've always been a Jericho guy. AEW wouldn't be where they are now without Chris Jericho. He needed to be their first champion. He needed to carry the flag there that first year, I think, to establish them as legitimate and establish them as a company you need to keep an eye on. Even before the stuff came out a little while ago, I have not been interested storyline wise in anything Jericho has done for at least the last 2 years. And then you have all this stuff that
I wouldn't say 2 years for me personally.
I would,
but
okay. I mean, it's been a while. It
was about. I know early last year was the debut of the Jericho Appreciation Society, or like maybe it was a little further than that. Actually, I don't remember now. But I thought it was early last year, but then I remembered we're in early this year, so it may have actually been like mid 2022 then. I'm not 100%. I don't 100% remember. But anyway, what I'm saying here is I felt like the the disbanding of the inner circle into the formation of Jericho Appreciation Society started my downhill fandom of Chris Jericho.
Yeah.
Because I thought that the Inner Circle being done was the end of. I'm just gonna say it this way: the Circle Jerk Chris Jericho hour. It just felt like everything is about Chris Jericho, and when Inner Circle was done, I was just like, you know what? All right, cool. I guess now we're just gonna get Jericho and single. Oh nope, here comes Jericho Appreciation Society. Here
Yeah.
comes more young talent that now have to make their entire gimmick protecting Chris Jericho.
Yeah.
So that's the formation of Yas was pretty much where my downfall of Chris Jericho fandom started.
Yeah.
And now, and I think I even said this last week. I think I went on like kind of a rant last week of this love fest of Chris Jericho's entrance has gotta fucking stop. It's gotta fucking stop. There is no reason for the heel to just let that shit play out
Yep.
to the end. It's like the moment he even touches the ring apron, the heel should be interrupting.
Agreed.
Stop that fucking Judas music already and get the heel's music playing. And I mean the crowds for this is a wrestling thing.
Mm-hmm.
They chanted thank you Vince. Not this crowd, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's a wrestling thing. Uh Even if there's an allegation or whatever, for the most part, because there have been boos for Chris Jericho since those allegations came out. Um, Crowd participation, if you're a wrestler with crowd participation, more often than not, you're still going to get that participation from them. So
Mm-hmm.
people are still singing Judas,
Yep.
and as a result, they're still playing the entirety of not the entirety of Judas, but
I mean, they play
the
most
whole
of it. They
crowd
play at least through the
participation
first
part.
chorus. Yeah.
Yeah, the whole crowd participation part they're playing every single time. Let's just stop that shit already. Please. I'm tired of the song. I'm tired of I don't sing it. At World's End, I did not participate in that song. I'm done with
Yeah.
that song.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm tired of every single time Chris Jericho is on TV, the whole song plays through the chorus, the crowd is singing, and Chris is just sometimes Chris is in the fucking ring for like
Oh,
30 plus seconds,
yeah. I was gonna say a minute.
just
It feels like
standing
sometimes.
there while everybody's singing the fucking song.
Yeah.
Like, we
Yeah.
don't need to keep doing this all the time.
No. But again, it's one of those things where as long as people keep singing it, they're gonna keep doing it. So again, it is about the stuff that came out a little while ago. It is about that to me. All right. I'm not going to sit here and pretend it's not when it comes to me. But at the same time, it's about that. And it's also about why this guy hasn't done anything interesting to me in a long time. Like, and I just feel like where AEW is as a company right now, like they don't need him to be on TV every week. They don't. Now, don't get me wrong. You want to put Takeshita over? Cool, because I like Takeshita, and Takeshita is a future like big time star for them. But at the same time, like, does anybody still care about this Don Callis Jericho shit at all? At all? Find me someone that actually like genuinely cares about it still.
Well, I'm sure
Because if
there
you,
are people that
of
do.
course, but I'm like, if you put all the like not bullshit because it's important, but if you put all the other stuff aside, and we're talking strictly about what the show is, I do not care about anything Chris Jericho does right now. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I
And
don't disagree with you
I
there.
feel like there's younger people or more women or things that you could put. They could, you could have had 2 extra segments instead of this match. And I think it might have been more productive. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
Um, All right, main event time. Tornado Tag Team Championship. It is Big Bill and Ricky Starks defending against Sting and Darby Allin. Good match, fun match. And I think, like a lot of us thought, who would have thought, really, that in the year of our Lord 2024, Sting is a champion, because him and Darby Allin defeat Ricky Starks and Big Bill to become the new AEW World Tag Team Champions. Let's talk about the match first, because what happened after the match, I loved what happened after the match. But let's talk about the match first, Drew. How did you feel about the main event? How'd you feel about Sting and Darby Allin becoming your new AEW World Tag Team Champions?
Sting. So my husband was in the room while I was watching this match, and I turned to him and I pointed. There was one point. It was already after Sting took the dive, which was fucking insane.
Wild.
That man is still doing that. And my husband was not really a wrestling fan growing up. And what wrestling he did watch was WWF, not WCW. So he doesn't really know Sting or any of the WCW people. But I just turned to him and I said, that man is 64 years old and he's still doing this. Mm-hmm. And he was very impressed with that. If I get him, if you get my husband impressed about something regarding wrestling, you've made it. Congratulations, Sting.
He made it. He made it. Sting, finally. One more match in his career, most likely.
Yeah, but of course, this match was booked in the standard way that we all knew it was going to be booked.
Yeah.
Where Sting doesn't take all the offense. That's Darby's job. Yep. And holy shit, did Darby take offense?
Oof, my word. Just gets the shit tossed around like a ragdoll.
The biggest spot that everyone has talked about that has to be mentioned is Big Bill's big boss man slam. Yep. That was unlike anything I have seen in a while from people who do that move. Mm-hmm. It was a legitimate 360, catching Darby, flinging him around like a rag doll, slamming him down on the mat. It was beautiful. Genuinely.
Yeah.
And I was kind of hoping it wasn't Ricky that would be taking the pin.
Yeah.
But because I don't know what this means for Ricky's future in AEW. I don't know when his contract is up. But I could kind of see him walking over to the other company.
Yeah.
Even though I really just genuinely enjoy him in AEW. So I would hope that he stays, but obviously that's his decision. But I don't hate Sting being a champion right now.
I don't either. It makes sense. And I know we're going to talk about it.
There's a lot of like, why is... And I didn't really see this, but I know that the criticism of wrestling in general is putting titles on older stars.
Yeah.
And I understand why somebody would say the same thing about Sting being a champion right now at 64 years old.
Yeah.
But sometimes there are exceptions to the rule.
Mm-hmm.
And I consider Sting to be that exception because this man is a wrestling icon.
Sure is.
When they call him the icon, it's not because of his character being an icon. It's because he is not just as Sting the character, but as Steve Borden the man. He is an icon.
Yep.
And his wrestling run would have, or could have rather, ended in a not so satisfactory way. And he was able to come back, join AEW, mentor Darby Allin, and have a string of great matches where he does absolutely insane shit for a 60-plus-year-old man.
Yep.
And he really took AEW under his wing, akin to like WCW, when he was like one of the last people. I mean, he literally had the last match in WCW TV.
Truly.
Ric Flair.
Yep.
And
yeah. All right. Well, we're going to talk about what happened after the match, and then we'll dive in. But I do have a question about that. But go ahead.
So I'm just thrilled, honestly, that I wasn't a WCW fan when I was younger either. I only got to know WCW really when I came back to wrestling. I consider it an honor to have been able to watch Sting wrestle a few times because of the legendary status of both Sting, the character, and Steve Borden, the man. So I am fine with a 64-year-old man being a champion.
Yeah.
Because it's leading to probably one of his, considering who the opponents are going to be, I'm going to say probably one of the greatest matches of his career.
Yes, agreed.
Where he will be going out on his back, just like he's always wanted to for this industry. And it's going to be the cherry on top of his career.
I think it will be. And so we saw after the victory, Sting and Darby are celebrating with Sting's sons in the ring. He's getting his moment. And then amidst all the confetti and everything that's going on, we see Nicholas and Matthew Jackson enter the ring wearing all white suits. They have all white baseball bats, and they proceed to beat down Sting and Darby. Darby is busted open. The blood gets all over the Young Bucks' white suits, and the visual of that just looked incredible. It just, especially on Matt. But both of them get blood all over him. And I just thought the blood on the white suits, it just looked, oh man, it looked so good. It looked violent. It made the Young Bucks look like absolute savages. You know, we talked about it last week, but I love what they're doing with the Young Bucks, how they're just leaning into this EVP dickheads characters. And we know that at Revolution, it's going to be the Young Bucks versus Sting and Darby. It will be Sting's last match, and now it will be for the tag team titles. And man, I'm just looking forward to it a lot. Drew. Do we think the Young Bucks defeat?
Oh yeah,
and we'll talk about it more in depth. But you know, I've read some stuff that's saying people in AEW kind of don't want Sting to lose. They kind of want him to win, and he kind of goes out as a champion, and then the belts become, you know, vacated or something like that. But you know how a lot of old wrestlers think. They think that they should always end it on their back, putting people over. It would make perfect sense for the Young Bucks to win these tag titles and be champions with how their current characters are portrayed. But I thought what happened at the end of this, they laid Sting out, they laid Darby out, they laid Sting's sons out as well, making it a little bit more personable for Sting, which I'm very much looking forward to. Because if anything, Sting's going to be way more pissed about the Young Bucks taking out his kids than he is going to be about them taking out him and Darby. So it adds a little bit more personal hatred to this. Ooh, this is gonna be juicy. Do you think this main event's the show? You think?
Oh, 100.
Like Sting's ending the show, right? Sting's ending the show.
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay.
For his final.
That's it.
Yeah,
that's it.
it's really kind of being booked around his retirement.
Yeah.
So I would say he main events.
I would agree. And then, you did mention Ric Flair. He will be at ringside for this match at Revolution. Hopefully he doesn't get too involved, but you never know. We'll have to see how it goes leading up to it. I'm going to be honest with you. If Ric Flair wants to play ball, I wouldn't mind the Young Bucks attacking Ric Flair here, leading up and leaving him a bloody mess as well to add more.
That would be really
I think
good,
that could play. Like, maybe don't show them attacking Ric Flair, but you cut to the back and Ric Flair's laying on the ground, busted open, and the Young Bucks are standing over him, kind of like that. Like, he's too old to be taking a beating. And if we're talking realistically, Ric Flair would be like, give me a beating. I'm ready.
Yeah.
But he's probably a little too old for that.
Well, he did just have his last match 2 years ago. So.
I was there. We got Roundtable saying, I'd love to see some of Sting's best friends from wrestling there to send him off. I would too. And I think they will be. I think it's not just going to be Flair there. I think afterwards, when they're giving Sting his moment, whether it's in victory or defeat, I do see the older crew of some wrestlers that were significant in Sting's career. I do see them kind of showing up to send Sting off there, because that's a big deal. 4 Horsemen, DDP. I see like those type of people.
Yeah.
Flair we know is going to be there because he's advertised to be there, but there will be other people. Arn will be there. I'd be shocked if there's not a slew of people there. Ricky the Dragon Steam, kind of those type of guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, I again, maybe I misspoke at the beginning of the show saying that I thought AEW as a whole was Dynamite was good. Dynamite was good to me. I thought it was not one of the best episodes ever, but it was a good show. I just thought Collision last night, while there were things I liked, I just thought it was a very passable episode of Collision. But all in all, I liked what they did at Dynamite, the Swerve Hangman match, the ending angle with the Bucks. I liked what we saw.
Yeah, this
to start and finish Dynamite.
Before we officially close on that. These new heel Young Bucks with their new music and everything.
Oh, love it. This is what I wanted the Young Bucks to be. This is what I wanted the Young Bucks to be way before now, but I'm glad they're doing
playing into what everyone says about them.
Yep.
This is it. This is the crux of their story, honestly. I think this was the way everything then went down with Punk and everything. Okay. It wasn't handled right. We all know it wasn't handled right. We all know that it's seeming that the Young Bucks really just didn't want to work with Punk. Mm-hmm. However, I think that they are sort of revitalizing themselves with these new characters, because just the best thing in wrestling is to play off the realism.
Yep.
And
Agreed.
what everyone thinks of them right now is exactly what they're playing on TV.
Yep.
And it's working for me. I didn't get them at first when AEW started, but then when they turned heel, I understood.
Yep. Agreed.
These guys are the real deal. And I'm really just loving this right now.
I am too. I think it's been excellent. All right, Drew. That'll do it for us. Another episode of Firmly AEW. Feels good.
How many episodes have we done now?
I'd have to go back and count, but it's got to be.
We've probably done.
It's got to be a pretty decent amount. Yeah, I'd have to go on the YouTube.
25 to 30.
Yeah, I would say around there. I would say around there, because we started. When did we start? Middle of last year? Early last year? When did we start?
I think around early last year we started.
Yeah,
but then we
got to be.
Weeks we got to be had episodes.
Yeah, I don't number them when I do the titles here. I really just put the date. With Between Two Beards, we just started numbering them from the get, so it was a lot easier to be like, oh, this is episode whatever.
Yeah.
I don't usually number our episodes. I just go Firmly AEW and the date. But I bet you we're probably around. Yeah, 25 to 30, maybe a little more than that, I would think. Maybe. I don't know. It's only 52 weeks in a year. So you figure, I don't know. I'm going to do some research, though, and I'll have that answer by next week, I think. I'm going to try to find out. But, Drew, let the people know where they can find you, where they can follow you, what else you're doing on a weekly basis in this wrestling world of ours.
Well, you can follow me on Twitter at the Drew Nicholas, as you see right down there. I am on the AEW Collision post show for Fightful, collecting the super chats and humper chats with either Rick, Iridian, and Cresta, or any combination of the three.
Yep.
We had the 2-woman power trip last night. Just join us there. It's a really great time. And I'm on the Roundtable Network that was just shown on screen a few moments ago. And with the Roundtable Network, we just started doing a new news show on Saturdays. Roundtable Network News. And
I need to get myself on that Roundtable Network. Why not?
Oh, I think you should be on there.
I want to do more stuff. Why not, man?
I'll do it. And also myself and Sunday Sinner, who was in the chat. He's the one on the Roundtable Network account right now. We will be starting a new show very soon together. Not the show that I talked about last week.
Okay.
This is a different show where we focus on the LGBTQ aspect of wrestling.
Oh, very good. That'll be fun. That'll be really good.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm very much looking forward to that. That's great.
So we're going to be starting that soon. We don't have an exact date and an exact name worked up yet, but we're talking about it. And follow me on Twitter, and there'll be more information on that soon.
Love it. Love it. You know the drill. You can follow me at JPJ Loves Gaming on all social media platforms, including Twitch. And you can follow me at JPJ Loves Wrestling over on the YouTube. I'm going to probably try to change that to JPJ Loves Gaming, so everything is just kind of aligned. But YouTube right now, it's JPJ Loves Wrestling. But you can follow me there and everywhere. You can see me here every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. with my man Drew, doing AEW, Firmly AEW, talking all things AEW. And you can see me here on Love Wrestling, the same YouTube channel, every Thursday night, 8 p.m., with my man Pluggo, doing Between Two Beards, the flagship show of Love Wrestling. And you can, like I said, you can catch me on Twitch. You can catch me kind of all over the place. Maybe I'll be on the Roundtable Network. Who knows? Trying to make 2024 a big time year. It's going to be a big time year for us here at Love Wrestling. I'm trying to make it for a big time year for JPJ as well. So usually don't talk in the third character, like third person like that. Not my thing. But yeah, Drew, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Enjoy Usher tonight during halftime. Enjoy the 30 seconds that they'll be showing Taylor Swift and the world burning.
There was I know we're in the close now, but I just wanted to say, Usher, there was a thing earlier this week on Twitter of like white people thinking that Yeah is the best Usher song of all time. Listen to me.
Listen, Yeah is great. It's a banger. It's going to be at every prom and every wedding you go to for the rest, every event.
And I know that the movie Hitch really made it more popular with white people. No, let it burn. Sorry, that's my number.
I think but they usually do medleys. Like I think that'll be My Way. That's another good one from Usher. It's usually a medley of sorts. I wonder if we'll have any special guests. People are saying maybe Bieber could show up because they're linked. Usually the halftime show it's one person or one band, but there's usually like a surprise that kind of pops in and it's like, oh shit, so we'll see. But if you are watching the Super Bowl this evening, enjoy yourselves. Hopefully it's
don't
fun
get mad
for
when
everybody.
They show Taylor Swift on TV.
Yeah, please don't. Like, we're better than that, people. Like, stop looking like a bum. Stop looking like a bum. But everyone enjoy their Super Bowl Sunday. Me and Drew will see you back here next Sunday talking more AEW. Everyone have a good week. Drew and I appreciate everybody in the chat. You guys know the drill. Until next time. Peace out.